Welcome to Brown Girl Unscripted.
Super excited.
Yes.
Thank you so much for having me here today.
I'm so excited to have you. Well, you guys must be confused. Hey, Unscripted fam. I'm Rucha. I'm the host of this podcast, Brown Girl Unscripted. Well, welcome to our channel. And today we are here with Pankti Patel.
Doshi. That's okay. Close though. It's good job thing. It's a different act. We can redo it. Wait, no, that's totally fine.
I'm sorry.
Girl, that would have sounded better though.
That's so funny.
No, we can do it again.
Okay, let's do it.
Yay!
I can't believe everything we have was less.
Hello, Unscripted fam. Welcome to another episode of Brown Girl Unscripted. It's your girl Rucha. I'm the host of this podcast, and today we're here with Pankti Doshi. She is a NYC genetic counselor and an events creator for the South Asian community. So we are here with her in her apartment. And it is so rainy outside. Isn't it disgusting out?
It is ugly, but we are so excited that this podcast is happening. Thank you so much for having me and super excited to be part of Unscripted.
Yes, me too. Guys, literally when I walked in here, it was pouring. I was drenched, and Pankti graciously made me a cup of coffee. I'm gonna go grab it.
Yes,
literally,
please.
like,
I'm
look
a
at
coffee
this.
fiend and I love making coffee. So I'm super happy and I will make you coffee any day. Or masala chai.
Yeah, it's really good though.
Thank
It has like this chai pienge
Yeah.
thing on the art.
Yeah.
Where's this from?
I am blanking on the name.
It looks like it's from like a small business.
It is from
of
a
some
small
sort.
business Etsy store, but I will get back to you on the exact company that gave this over to me.
Period. Okay. Well, Pankti, how are you feeling today? How's your day been?
It's been amazing. Honestly, life as an events creator and a genetic counselor has been just such a beautiful blend where we were just talking about the fact that I love the independence and the freedom that comes in curating your own day and schedule. And I think that's why every single day I feel like just so happy to be able to be doing what I love at every moment.
Yeah. No, honestly, that's amazing. That's literally like living the dream. Yeah. What's your favorite part about it?
I would say my favorite part is every day I get to work on what I want to do, and I get to work with incredible, talented people just like you. And even the fact that I can, in the middle of the day, be able to work on a podcast with you and be a part of it, or schedule a meeting with someone that's running their own brand, or talking about an event that I'm gonna plan, which is what I did earlier today in January. So I think I just love the flexibility and the freedom and just find ways to build the community together.
No, honestly, period. We
Yeah.
love like a do when you want, live, work.
Yeah.
I was gonna say something, I just forgot the rest of the sentence.
You're good.
But there has to be something that you don't like though. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there's things I hate about entrepreneurship. So what are your things? Spill the tea.
Yeah, I would say like the most challenging part is I literally love doing too much. I think one of the things I learned from 2024 at events is that I overcommitted. So I think next year, I think I'm gonna at least slow it down a little bit and just like pick and choose. I think this year I was just like, hey, I'm gonna try this full time right now and see if I can just go ham. And I think the lifestyle of late nights and throwing a lot of ragers, I think impacts kind of the sleep schedule and the health a little bit. But I think I try to recover and have a couple days of break, and like just having some me days really helps kind of reset my schedule.
Yeah, sounds about right. I mean, like on paper, that definitely sounds like it's like the it girl lifestyle. You're making events, you're partying, and then repeat.
Yeah.
But it's interesting when you talk about it. You're like, oh my god.
Yeah, it can be a little bit aggressive when it comes to just managing the schedule. Because I mean, I feel like if I'm throwing an event till 4 a.m., I'm not waking up till like 12 or 1. So I try to get my hours, but everything is kind of not on a consistent schedule. So I would say like managing the lifestyle with it is challenging at times. And I think also instead of also just throwing ragers, I think I'm getting really big into throwing intimate events that are a little bit more curated and focused. Examples would be like a chai and chocolate event where you're pairing masala chai with different types of South Asian chocolate brands. Or yes, I know, I love.
You had that earlier this year,
and
right?
Stay tuned for another one in January. I'm just about planning that. Or another example is an event called Vatavaran, which is where every individual comes in, grabs a cup of chai, sits on a carpet on the ground and listens to a live Bollywood singer, and it's just so vibey, especially during the winter season. It's just something very cozy and comforting instead of a Bollywood party till like 4 a.m.
Yeah. You had that recently, right? With Avish?
Yes. For Vatavaran, the singer is Avish Jain. He's one of the artists from Masala Mixtape. And so this idea has been inspired by him. And so every 2 months we create this Vatavaran or vibe for the community.
That reminds me of the audio, right?
Dil hai mushkil.
Yeah.
I just love the Vatavaran of this place.
The vibe.
The vibes.
Yeah. Oh my god. I literally unlocked like a deep memory.
Oh, 100%. I feel like we all grew up with like Edil hai mushkil, so like it's really fun to just use that as a stepping point for the event.
Yeah. No, that's so funny. But yeah, you mentioned having me days. What is your way of having a me day? Everyone's different.
I love that, and I'd love to hear yours too. For my me day, it's getting my sleep in hours. 2, I love my like skincare routine and hair care routine. So it's like kind of just like face mask, putting some like oil in my hair, and just like really taking care of myself on that front. I love coffee or chai, so I'm not joking.
Exhibit A.
Yes, if you look at my Google Maps, I'm not joking. Every week I try 1 or 2 new coffee shops in the city. So wherever I have to travel, I will do it. I think I'm at 130 spots right now in new coffee
Share
spots.
your like list.
I will share. Yes, I will. And if you want to go to any of these spots, or anyone who's listening to this wants a coffee list, I will give you all my recs and ones that I love the best. But I love making coffee, making massage or grabbing a cup wherever I can. So it will definitely involve like sleep, skincare, chai, coffee, and then just like binging a TV show. Like I'm a big fan of Friends, so I will watch, like I've seen the Friends reruns like a million times. So I think it's just like comfort food, watching Friends, laying in my bed, and also probably catching up with some friends or family is like my ideal, just like stay at home, relaxed day.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds so cozy and like cute.
Yeah.
I got to the part where you're like, get my sleep in hours.
Yes, I need to I'm dead if I don't get my hours. So I'm like trying to become better about it.
We are back. The camera is malfunctioning for a second. But you were talking about your hours and your sleep.
Oh yeah, no, I'm like trying to become better at just sleeping more and just gaining that, because I feel like that will set the direction for the day. But yes, I'm a big proponent of having me and self-care days if you can incorporate that into your schedule in some way or form.
Yeah, I'll share her coffee Google Maps like thing in the description, because that sounds so
I
clutch.
know, I love coffee.
Yeah, there's actually so much in New York City too to explore. I feel like no matter how many times I go out, there's always just more to
Exactly.
do.
Honestly, this is why I love New York City and why I decided to move here in the first place. You can never get bored, and there's something for literally everyone. Whether it's like you're a coffee fiend, or if you just like music, or if you want to just explore bar, or you just want to chill like vibey day. Like I think there's just so much for every single person.
Yeah. So guys, she's originally from the Bay Area, right? How would you compare New York City and the Bay Area?
Yeah, I actually do think it's quite different. I grew up in California, so Bay Area is like Northern California. I've lived in San Francisco and grew up in this city called San Jose, which is about a suburb an hour south from San Francisco. Just as a side tangent, I've actually lived in SF, LA, Chicago, London, Singapore, and New York. So a bunch of different fun cities.
A lot to go through.
There's a lot of different cities for all different reasons, usually defined by like work or my grad school. New York was the actual decision that I made more for friends and just moving here to have fun. So I would say that New York just has access to, I would say, a lot of different variety of things, whether it's fashion, music, art, entertainment. And I think that's something that really attracts me, which I do think that the Bay Area and California has that as well, but I think it isn't to the level and degree that I think New York has. And I think as an event creator and exploring this in the community, I think it's been so much easier kind of doing those events here. There's so much excitement, energy, and people just like really bring the hype here. So I feel very supported and loved for what I've been creating here for that purpose.
Yeah, no, that's actually so wholesome. I feel like it just, even like since I moved to New York, like I feel like you've just been at the forefront and center of like any event that like I've gone to that's for South Asians. So Pankti has taken over New York.
Oh my god, slowly. No, but all thanks to everyone who's been so supportive like you.
Oh, yeah. So what would you say has been like the major difference between like the Bay Area and New York, like from growing up in the Bay Area and then now living in New York as like in your 20s? Like what is that like?
Oh my god, I love this question. So I would say the Bay Area, my upbringing was more, okay, so classically I'm a kid of an immigrant family, so I think that definitely had its own cultural upbringing in itself. And by the way, I thought it was incredible to have such cultural parents and like really teaching me, like I'm Gujarati by culture, so really teaching me how to, I know, let's go, teaching me how to read and write and speak. And I think having that relationship with my like extended family, so I really appreciated having that. I would say my educational system was really unique. I was constantly surrounded by South Asian and just Asian people. So it's really, yeah, which I actually realized, like, wow, what a blessing. I never felt like embarrassed or worried about sharing my culture because it was so embraced in the educational system that I was, because we were constantly surrounded by that.
Yeah, everyone's Indian.
Everyone's exactly, and I think that was so like reassuring, and so it just felt like a community right from the beginning, whether it's the community I grew up with through family friends or the educational community. And then living in San Francisco, I would say it was a very exciting environment. I think for me, it's like if your best friends or your community is around you, you can make any city incredible. And I think I was so fortunate and lucky that I built some of my best friends in that community in San Francisco, so I had an incredible time. But I would say the access, like I was saying earlier, to different types of events, you know, and just having access to different types of food spots and culture, I just feel like the New York culture, it just embraces that a little bit more, and there's just more access to things like that. And a lot of the I think a lot of that has to do with the types of people and what attracts people to come to New York City as well. Honestly, New York City gives me the feeling of you can do anything you want in this world. Like, you are just like invincible. I would say San Francisco has a really high entrepreneurship and tech culture. And I think growing up with that business mindset really allowed me to be someone who is creating their own events company right now. And I was telling Rucha earlier that I really want to start my own genetics company, which is my graduate school background.
Yeah. No, that's actually so valid.
Yeah.
I feel like San Francisco and Silicon Valley providing you with that like background in like business,
Absolutely.
just like I guess like a lot of like hustle culture essentially,
100%,
right? Because I feel like that it's very much like everyone is like insanely like fucking smart there.
Oh my gosh.
And then like coming here and then you can apply those skills to what you're doing. And then what you said about like being surrounded by Indian people growing up, I honestly
can relate to that.
I can relate to that. Yeah, like I feel like growing up in New Jersey, I feel it was like much like lots of Indian people, lots of Asian people. So like I feel like when I hear stories about like people who grew up in like the Midwest, etc. I feel like I was like so like bubbled in. Where I almost felt like I was like, oh my god, like there's too many Indian people here.
100%.
There was a lot, but then now I appreciate it because I'm just like I wasn't dealing with any of like the hardships that comes with being the only Indian person in a group.
Oh, I think you said that like very accurately. I think there's this feeling of wow, I belong, and I think a lot of us are just looking to fit in, especially when you're so young. And so it's so nice that both of us had that type of upbringing. But I know that I never take it for granted because I know everyone grows up so differently and has such a different surrounding. So I agree. I feel so grateful to have that.
Yeah. And then going off from that, like, how would you say that's like shaped you now and embracing like parts of your culture and like even just entrepreneurship? Like that's something that's like I would say like pretty taboo. Like, what's your relationship been like with that, and then navigating expectations when it comes to that?
Yeah, no, I love entrepreneurship. A little side tangent is that I would say the biggest reason, along with the Bay Area, in influencing me to be an entrepreneur is also my dad. He moved to California to start companies, and so he's more in the wireless mobile technology space, so he's like a computer engineer. But I think watching that from such a young age was so inspiring. And you know, I also do think it's a very taboo topic to take risks like that, especially in that generation for my parents. So I think seeing that and seeing him just work so hard, be so ambitious, and then be able to create something of your own, that's I would say what motivates me to do what I'm doing today. I noticed in New York that there are a lot of South Asians and there's so much love for just community, and I noticed that there was a bit of a gap in terms of the consistency and the number of types of ways that we can uplift South Asian talent. And through my events, I am constantly searching for people to work with, brands to work with, and finding and giving them a platform so that I can help them achieve their dreams and then also uplift everyone around me. So that's genuinely what motivates me, and to bring that love in the community.
No, that's amazing. I mean, guys, for reference, like, she's the reason the Ashki studio got to New York Fashion Week. So literally, like, and she's gonna have another one.
Hey, we aiming for a spring New York Fashion Week for Silk Road back again in hopefully February.
Yeah, so you will see that very soon. But honestly, that is so inspiring. I think it's amazing how like you've taken that, seeing your like dad like go after his goals and dreams. And you're right, like going after a business opportunity in that generation, that's like so like
there's so much stigma and like taboo towards that. And I feel like our parents didn't grow up with that type of risk-taking nature, and they're more used to like stability and consistency. So I was very much inspired by that.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Even just the act of like leaving everything to go to a different country.
Right?
Like I was telling my mom about this. I was just like with the business, she's like, oh, like, do you like miss having like a job, etc. And I was like, Mom, you left your entire country to start a life here. Like, girl, you're telling me I'm taking a risk?
No, I think what our parents did is insane. I never try to forget that. I'm like, you literally changed cultures, environments. You left your family and your comfort zones to be able to friends. Oh my god, yeah, everything.
Like I could never.
I couldn't, and so I'm always like in awe of our parents and a lot of that immigrant culture to be able to come to like for further education or for a better life or family.
Yeah. No, and it's actually crazy too because like then like I feel like for us, like we're able to do stuff like this with like the risk being a little bit mitigated because there's such a stable ground.
There is, I know.
Yeah.
I honestly think I don't think I would be able to do what I'm doing today if my parents didn't set the platform for me to be able to do what I'm doing today. So I always feel like everyone when they achieve something, I think it is a lot of gratitude towards like the people who've done it before us and all the incredible, like for at least the events, all the incredible South Asian event creators and the people that are continuing to set that platform for all of us. I always think it's like a team effort and we're kind of all in this together.
No, 100%. So we talked a lot about career, upbringing, parents. Like, let's dive into friendships and relationships.
I love that.
What has that been like for you since moving to New York?
I literally moved here because of friends. I was like, I'm going to choose my love for my besties and move to a city just because of that. So I told myself that if I can get two of my best friends to move to New York City with me, I'm gonna do it. Are you ready, Rucha?
Yeah, tell me.
We started with maybe 5 friends that moved here, and now over the course of the last 3 to 4 years, there's 100 of us that live in this current Murrah Hill, Kips Bay area that are all my own friends or friends of friends that we've built over the course of time. And there's 100% community that lives right in this area. When I moved here, I lived in a building with 15 friends. It felt like college, you know, like that college dorm life. But
I miss that.
I know, and I wanted to create that, and it was honestly, it felt like that, but a little bit bougier because we had a little bit of money because we were working. So it felt a little bit nicer than the college life. But exactly, it's something that we all missed. And I felt so fortunate that we have this beautiful sense of community. And I'm a really big believer in investing in your friendships. I take a lot of time every week to, whether it's virtual or in person, to meet one-on-one or just create those group friend environments because that's what grounds me and keeps me stable and like just makes me love my life here so much.
Yeah, it's something you said earlier, like friends can make or break. Like if you if you have your best friends with you, then like that really makes the environment. Because if you're navigating something by yourself, like I feel like it's very easy to just look at it in a perspective that like it's just like intrusive thoughts. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But then like your friend adds like a vibe to it and you're like, okay, period, let's go do this. You know?
I know they're the ones that bring the energy and I'm a big believer in hyping my people up. So like I love that, and anything I can do to just hype my friends and my surroundings is everything.
No, period. Yeah, like even when our conversation we were talking earlier, it's like I feel like before I walked into this, I was like, oh my god, like what am I doing? I was having like a weird day.
Oh my god.
And then we were talking about it, I was like, wow, like she really like makes it seem like things are great.
Oh
and it's
god,
like, yeah.
Of course. I know. I get this, like I get made fun of all the time that I'm like way too positive, but I honestly
it's good.
I know, like of course I have reality checks, but I really believe that like we're on this planet for such a short time, and if every person in this world can do what they're like meant to do or their strengths are or follow whatever they can, like I would love to help or just be there for that person, or even if it's not like your dream, but it's just if you're having a rough day, like I think so part of why I picked genetic counseling as a career development is actually the counseling. I love the concept of therapy. I love the concept of being there for people in ways that are best for them, and so I'm glad I found a career path in that. But whether it's friends or family, I just like love, like we can't do life alone. We can only do it when we're helping each other through it. And sometimes you're right, like days are tough and we kind of just need a little bit of push and a little bit of support or a hug or something that just makes the day more okay.
100%. I'm really excited to see where you take genetic counseling in the company, especially.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited.
What does your end vision for that look like?
I want to increase access to genetic testing for everyone, especially South Asians. A lot of the data today on genetics is of European populations and not of South Asians. As a genetic counselor, when I was in training, I got a chance to live in London and Singapore and do a clinical rotation there.
That's really
yeah,
cool.
it was awesome. It was like very fun to live abroad, but also learn about the healthcare system. And there's very few genetic counselors abroad. And so what I realized is it's a pretty small field. And what I want to do with my platform is ultimately be that person that people contact to be, hey, I'm about to have kids, or hey, I have a family history of some health condition. I want to be able to provide them the comfort and the knowledge so that they can feel more comfortable with what you've been born with.
Yeah. No, that's actually, I haven't heard of that too much. So it's really nice that like you want to create more access for that.
Absolutely.
And I think even what you were saying earlier, it's like with our generation, like we're not having kids until like a while.
Yeah. I think it's going to be kind of delayed in, or at least maybe it's the city bubbles that we live in, whether it's New York. I do think people are having kids at a later stage in life as well. So I know there's a lot of stigma and taboo, especially within our culture too. So I just want to
How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I know. I love this one. You can imagine the little stigmas like, oh my gosh, you turned 30 or you're 35. What does this mean? Should you freeze your eggs or what should you do? And I think there's a lot of, scary thoughts and conversations around that. And my whole job is like, hey, you're going to be fine. I'm going to create a space and environment for you to talk it out with me and tell me your fears, tell me your concerns. And sometimes I think it's like the scary data that you hear that like, oh my God, I won't get pregnant, or am I going to have a kid with a genetic problem? And I think there's a lot of misinformation online, especially I think many times you might have been informed to not Google things because Google's a really scary place.
It really is.
And I've done it myself too. And
the WebMD searches.
I know. And I always tell people like, it's okay. And of course your anxiety is going to get the best of you at times, but at the end of the day, like, I want to be that person to give you reassurance, calmness, and to be able to help people through those taboo stigmas or just like misinformation.
Yeah, no, that's so real. Like literally what you said reminds me of like again WebMD, and like I remember this one time I had like a random red mark on my arm, and then WebMD convinced me I had skin cancer.
There you go.
The hell, like. I was fine, obviously, but like,
But it's scary, like the world, like online is a scary place sometimes, especially when you go down a deep rabbit hole. So I think, I always like love to create spaces and environments where if I can help someone through that, and that's one of my favorite things in life.
Yeah, no, that's actually so wholesome. And also with like the thing you said about like, you're gonna be fine. I think there is a lot of taboo
reassurance,
stuff. Reassurance, because it's like, I think that it's okay to do things at any stage of life, and I think like with the trend of again maybe like you said it's our city bubbles because I do think that like places like New York City or like California, like just more like liberal like areas like have more like progressive thinkers where it's just like hey like I just want to focus on my life, find a person that's like the best fit for me, and then go for like kids when like I'm stable. Because I feel like I don't know, bringing a kid into the world is like really scary.
It is. I mean, you're bringing life, and you want to make sure that you're able to provide for that next generation in the best way possible, like our parents did for ourselves. So you definitely want to make sure that you're like it's not just finances, but emotionally, mentally ready to be able to take that step.
Yeah, and even when it comes to like the relationship specifically, I feel like it's like important to get that stuff sorted out because I feel like if you don't have a good base, then it's like I don't know, like that's scary as hell to me. I think about that a lot, and I'm like, oh my god.
Oh, 100%. I know. I always tell everyone like, take your time, do you like? I always say like, you got to know you before you do anything else, and like I'm a big believer in studying yourself. I feel like we're all so complicated people, and like we've all had such diverse upbringings, and like we are the way we are for certain reasons, and we have all of our quirks and like our version of crazies. But like I think like if more people like I try to spend a lot of time studying myself too, and I'm not perfect. I'm still learning and growing as a person, but I'm really a big believer of like change and growth mindset.
Well, since you've studied yourself so much, for you, like what has that been like in terms of like when like for you, what does it look like? When would you be wanting to have kids?
That's such a great question in life, and like
if you don't know, it's fine too.
Honestly, like I would love to by like mid 30s. I think that's kind of an age range that I think makes most sense to me based on time. And I think I really liked that I spent the last like few years focusing on my career, focusing on my friendships, focusing on my relationships, especially my family. And I think like I just wanted to feel more grounded and feel independent as a person, because I never want to feel like I'm dependent on a partner or dependent on any other individual. Of course it's important to rely on people, especially when you're struggling or you just want to share things, but I think I wanted to feel like financially independent, or I wanted to feel like just secure as an individual person in society. And so I think the more comfortable I feel with myself, then I want to be able to, of course, be there for someone else, and then of course then be there for some kids.
Yeah. No, that makes total sense. Yeah, I feel like that's like the natural
progression. Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like for me, it's like definitely. I don't know if I want kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'll see how it goes like down the line.
Yeah, you never know.
I feel like I just like I've never seen myself like having kids.
And that's totally fine. I think it's such a, I think sometimes we live in a culture where and I'm not sure if this has happened with you, but like we come from like, different types of belief systems where, oh, you gotta have kids at this certain age, or like life, you won't feel complete in life without kids. And I'm completely in disagreement with that. I think anything you do in your life is a personal choice, and no one in this world should ever judge you because you have your own story and you never even need to explain it. I think at the end of the day, you're in charge of your life and what you want to create for yourself, and whatever you prioritize is what you want. And if kids is not for you, kids is not for you. And you have other interests and passions that you want to explore and create. I think earlier you were sharing how you were super excited to create maybe your own health tech company, or, I think a lot of these things take priorities and energy. And I think it's really great. I'm a big believer of people should just do what they love, and honestly that's it. Go off vibes.
No, seriously, go off the vibes is such a good way. Like I feel like even focusing on like your intuition, I think like especially as like women, like we have strong intuition, and I think it's like important to just like focus on that, especially when it comes to career decisions.
Of course.
Like I watch a lot of like entrepreneurship videos, and like if you look at any of like Steve Jobs, or like I've seen some Elon Musk, but right now it's a tricky topic. And it's like they always talk about intuition and like how in business decisions or just life decisions it's really important versus like only looking at like the facts or like the data points back behind it. And I think there's something true to that, because you're going towards your natural strengths.
Absolutely.
And I feel like that's a really important way to like navigate your life.
I know we sometimes live in a culture where I do think we need to work on our weaknesses, but I'm a big believer of doubling down on your strengths. If you know yourself, or you like are gravitating towards this, or you're really enjoying it, then why not just like go for it and like experiment it and see what happens.
No, that's so real. And I wish that was talked about more, honestly, because I feel like again, it does sometimes feel like it's like this bubble that we live in where we all talk about it, but then sometimes when I go outside of like our like New York City bubble, like these same like concepts like are not as present.
Absolutely.
So it's like, I don't know, how's that been for you, like when you like I guess like leave New York, or like when you're going somewhere and like it's a totally different environment, like how do you navigate that? Because it's such a like positive, like amazing here, and then it's like
a different environment. I try to keep that mentality that every individual in this world comes from a different background, different upbringing, different surroundings, and I try not to judge when I come across different thoughts, because at the end of the day I'm learning from that individual. I always try to sustain curiosity or ask a bunch of questions to help understand why the other individual thinks the way they do, and I can't judge it, because who knows, if I was born into that family and that surroundings and that environment, I might even think that way as well. So I try to stay as open-minded as possible and just constantly stay curious.
No, honestly, that's really the best way to go about it. I love the optimism. Well, we're coming to the end of the podcast episode, but one thing I like to ask at the end of each episode is, what is something that you wish that you could tell your younger self?
Oh, I love this question. I would say, I think this is something that I have struggled with, where I constantly sometimes worry a lot about the future. I'm a planner by heart, and I'm constantly thinking about what's next. I was doing that even at a very young age, and I think I would sometimes get a lot of anxiety around that. I would tell my younger self that, hey, everything's gonna be okay. It's all gonna work out, and just trust the system. Like, I really think sometimes we psych ourselves out, we worry so much, we get a lot of anxiety about what's gonna happen, and it's so easy to worst case scenario and just like freak out about it. And so one thing that I've actually worked on over the course of time is, if there is something that I'm worried about, I actually played this game called the worst case scenario game, where I go back and forth with, like, if it's another individual, we kind of go back and forth and being like, okay, what's the worst that's gonna happen? And then we keep going until we run out of things. Because I think sometimes, I remember back in grad school, we call it name it to tame it, where I think sometimes just vocalizing it and saying your fears out loud sometimes mitigates the anxiety, because you're at least like put it out there in the world. So I think it helps at least, like, hey, you're gonna be fine. I know it's scary, you've put it out there, and at least you know maybe this is something that could happen, but try not to fixate on it. And at the end of the day, I really do believe it. No matter what, I genuinely think everything's gonna be fine. Like you can wake up tomorrow and like you'll be okay.
Aw,
Yeah.
that was so cute. I love that. It's so true though.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Oh my god, thank you so much for having me.
Ah.
I'm like really proud of what you've built and created, Rucha. Like I'm very excited to see what you do with the podcast. All the incredible talent that you're bringing under one platform is so inspirational. So big shout out. I think it just stopped, but big shout out to everyone that's listening here. That Rucha has done an incredible job, and thank you so much for building a unscripted family for us.
Oh my god. Well, that being said, I'll see you guys in the next episode. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button and leave a review on what you thought about this podcast, because that's how we grow.
Let's go.
Bye.
Wait, you're amazing.
Really?
You did such a great job.
Thank you.
You ask such great questions, and it's so natural.
I can't believe I believe that